Last video, we saw why people use different types of graphical display depending on different types of data. Today, we are going to see how to describe the graph and interpret the information in it. Graphs are usually described by 4 different categories. One is shape, the other is outliers, another is center, and the last is the spread. By taking out the first capitalized letters from each word, I like to call this as the socks, which makes it easier for you to remember. First of all, the shape usually shows the trend or a specific pattern of the data. The first one you see here is a symmetric shape. Symmetric distribution is one in which the two halves are mirror images of each other by, as you can see from the y-axis. From the dotted line here, the left and the right side looks exactly the same. That's why it is the symmetric pattern. Next pattern we call as skewed to the right. If a distribution is concentrated on the lower values of the graph, then it is described as skewed to the right. Similarly, the next pattern is called as skewed to the left. If the distribution is concentrated mainly on the higher values of the graph, then it is skewed to the left. Next, the value is called as the bell-shaped. This is because it is a symmetric, again, with a center mount and two sloping tails. Now, when you have only one mount here, then it is called as bell-shaped. Unlikely, like the symmetric value example we have seen above here, there's like several 4 mounts we see here. If there's only a single bell-shaped symmetric, then we describe it as bell-shaped. And lastly, it can be really simple. It is called the uniform. This kind of graph shows that all kinds of data are having consistency and there's no discrepancy between each other. Next, we will see what outlier is. Outlier is a value that is extreme compared to the other data. Here in the stem plot, we see that the value 60 is far away from the other sets of data. In this case, we call 60 the outlier. Center is very similar. Well, not the meaning itself, but how you interpret it. Center as well literally means the center of the data. It is the value that is right in the middle of the set when you array the whole data in a straight line in an order. In this case, out of 13 values, 19 is the center as it is the 7th value. Spread shows the scope of values from smallest to largest. In our stem plot, the spread is 1 to 60. It is showing the range of data. The smallest data 1 to the biggest data 60. This is the spread of this stem plot. First of all, the shape would be bell-shaped. The data are ranging mainly from 1 to 4, even though there is a 1 value at 6 here. But since the data are mainly in 1 to 4, and then they're mostly concentrated in 2 and 3, and the number of sets of data here seems to be fairly equal. So that's why we should call this the shape of the stem plot as bell-shaped. Second of all, the outlier will be 62. As you can see, the 62 data is far away from the cluster of all this data, mainly ranging from 1 to 4. That's why 62, we should consider it as the outlier. Now that we've learned how to interpret the data with these 4 different criterions, let's practice and use our knowledge right now. Let's interpret this stem plot showing the number of home runs hit by players in season 2K16. Now let's start interpreting the stem plot correctly. Well, the center will be 31. In here, there's in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's total 23 number of data here, and therefore the 12th value should be the 12th value should be the center of this data. So therefore 1 to 4, 8, 11, 12. 31 is the 12th data, which means this is the center of this stem plot. Lastly, the spread is 12 to 62. The smallest value in this stem plot is 12, while the largest value in this stem plot is 62. We said that the spread is a scope, the range of data from the smallest to largest. Smallest 12, the largest 62. Therefore, the spread is 12 to 62.